Welcome back to another show and tell video. Today we're looking at something interesting. This is a reproduction vintage copy of a older Colt 4 by 20 power optic. So this is actually a copy that was made of the original Colt optic. And let's see if we can actually take a look at the side label. You can see here RTC Sports, uh, sort of a location, not actually full address, but made in you know where. And then the identification type AR15 4 by 20. Company of this is RTC. You can see it's high quality, so you know that's best of the best, of course. Large wide angle, sharp bright field of view, great power for targeting and hunting. Yeah, so these are your selling points there. You can see again AR-15 4 by 20. Actually, no, that is a sticker. So I kind of assume that this company maybe packaged a bunch of different items in similar boxes and then slapped on these little labels to differentiate between the different types of items. Let's go ahead and open this up and see it's been taped over numerous times because this object has been on numerous platforms just for display and then taken off due to lack of interest. But you see it came in a styrofoam package. Not sure what actually went in this gap area. And there used to be a plastic bag, but this is basically all that came with it. We have a very small kind of cleaning type cloth, and feeling it now, I would not actually use this. This is very rough. You can see here is literally just a cloth with very coarse weave. So interesting doily material there. Did come with some instructions. Pull it out carefully. And the item itself. Let's set the styrofoam and this stuff aside. Pretty inconsequential. Take a quick look at the instructions. You can see here, model 4 by 20 rifle scope instructions. Dog-eared quite a bit. And features clear image, beautiful appearance, easy operation, and powerful surrounding suitability, etc. Yeah, I thought that was kind of interesting. And it continues. You can see numerous interesting spellings like diameter. But all the critical the data points are actually here, so we can't fault them for that. So there was some information lost in translation, but really they copycatted the information possibly from the original Colt specifications. So they might have cheated off of somebody else's paper. Who knows? So let's continue. Installation. That sentence is pretty correct there. Mounted on hunting rifle by the connecting bracket. The connection of them should be firm and reliable. Regulation of the diopter. Owing to the diopter of each person's eyes is different. The diopter must be regular. I believe they meant pupil. The diopter must be regulated well before the telescope was used. Space period. And then lowercase the diopter regulation method. Loose the adjustment knob 1 of the diopter in the eyepiece. You can adjust the diopter well by rotating the eyepiece 2 and tighten the knob 1. The range of adjustment towards the back is less than 4 circles. Do you have... I don't see any other diagrams referring to what 1 and 2 are. Correct the hunting rifle. Yeah, okay. Purpose of correcting the hunting rifle is to make the bore axis intersect with the view quasi-axial of the telescope in 100 yard. The parallax of the telescope in 100 yard has been eliminated by the manufacturer. Ooh, I'll believe that when I see it. Corrected it with the collimator if it is possible. Corrected it according to the following methods if there isn't any special instruments. And then continuing, place the target 100 yards away, space, comma, no space. Take a hunting rifle, which is one step back, which its front sight was corrected well, comma, aim at the center of the target by its front sight firstly, space, comma, no space, then regulate the telescope, no space, comma, no space, make the center of the reticle also aim at the center of the target. The view quasi-axial of the telescope can regulate in two directions, space, comma, no space, horizontal and vertical. The methods are, so not to fault the typesetting, but I do think this is actually old enough that this was actually typeset, either with a typewriter or some sort of printing method, and not actually, done on computer, because this scope does come from, I believe, the 80s. So predates, computerized printing, cheap printing methods. So let's not fault the creators here too much. They probably went with their literal corrected draft and probably passed their proofreading enough that they went with this as their instructions. But let's continue. Vertical adjustment. Screw off the protective cover. Rotate the vertical adjusting knob along the arrow. So I'm assuming if we take a... Okay, those are your covers there. Well, that's your only cover right there. And that will basically control your left to right by manipulating the crosshairs. Moving up the aiming position. So that refers actually to this one, your range knob. The scale indexing corresponds to the target in 100 yard to move 58 millimeters. For the vertical adjusting knob marked with up. Oof. Horizontal adjustment, again, screw off the protective cover. I don't think there is a protective cover on this. Unless they're referring to this. That might be what they're referring to. I haven't messed with this in a while. I don't want to actually damage the threads by cross-threading, putting these caps back on and off a lot. So, for... excuse me. Each rotation corresponds to the target in 100 yards to move 840 millimeters. Adjusting the point for view quasi-axial of the telescope and then capital, the front view synchronistically is only rough adjustment. For the finish adjustment, the firing practice must be conducted on the target of 100 yards away. On the target surface, measure the distances between the aiming point and the point of impact and regulation it by the adjusting mechanism on the view quasi-axial of the telescope. According to the indexing, repeated several times and the error can be eliminated and the hunting rifle will be corrected well. That is what is called a run-on sentence. Okay. To prevent unsuitable adjustment and to protect sealing off against water, tighten the protect you covers repeatedly after correcting the hunting rifle well. When using the telescope provides scale mechanisms so as to suit to targets of different distances, 5 indexing marked from 100 yards to 500 yards. That makes sense. Lowercase u can turn the adjusting knob to the corresponding indexing according to the distance of the target. Then the aiming position will have been corrected, and then period over on the next line. The adjusting knob provides adjusting scales of kata sound and operates precisely repeatable adjustment by it. So I guess that means the clicks. Interesting. M- Maintenance. I'm not sure if the N didn't get printed or if that really isn't. That looks like an R. The telescope must be protected from collide and fall. True. The exposed glass must be ooh, wiped clean with flannelette. That was that pink cleaning cloth that was included here. When it is contaminated. True. The dirty cloth or paper are strictly prohibited so as to avoid the scrap the sur, surface of the glass. That's also true. You don't really, with any optic, always use a fresh, clean, if possible, cleaning cloth so that you don't transfer dirty material and use that to actually damage your optical surfaces. The telescope should be kept in the cool and dry place and must be kept away from acid, alkaline, and chemicals of strong corrosiveness. That would also probably keep help minimize fogging as well too in general. But sometimes it's hard to avoid the humidity and temperature changes depending on where you are. So the telescope is careful to avoid being immersed into water or baked. It must be, again, whipped dry immediately after rain drenched. Dismantling the telescope at will is stridently prohibited. Whew. Those are some pretty overcomplicated their instructions, some interesting translations. Let's take a closer look at the object, your basic optic. There used to be caps, I believe, but they uh, instead of shrinking, I think expanded and no longer fit properly. I do have them somewhere, but I was not able to gather them up in time. 4 by 20 markings, very similar to the Colts. In fact, all the markings are very similar to the Colts, except it doesn't say Colt anywhere on here. Here we got a model number kind of stenciled onto there. I tried to look underneath the base to see if there was any more markings, but I do not believe so. See Phillips head screws used to put the mounting bracket onto the tube itself. This big, large knob here to countersink against the windage adjustment. I will take this one off so you can see the type of style of adjustment knob of what you got to work with there. Again, I'm really apprehensive about cross-threading this because of the delicate nature of the metal. And that's basically it. You can see right there, it's a very basic crosshair. I'm trying there. Oh, almost had it. Sorry, my hands are really shaky, but it's also really hard to center the image. You can actually see it when it's a little bit better when it's offset. And because of the nature of the camera lens, it's counterintuitive which way to move it. But you can see how the reticle is actually thinner towards the middle. This mounts onto the top of the AR-15 carrying handle. You see how this would fit in the channel. We're going to pause for a moment and I'll show you how this would fit onto one. Okay, so what I've done is I've gone ahead and started threading this onto the top of a carry handle here. This is a M1, A1 style, correction, A1 style carrying handle with the A1 type of sights there. And I'm going to tighten this up a little bit with the lever that spins around. And you see how it tensions up with against these two holes. and against this little pinpoint there. And eventually at some point, you will feel that it will no longer want to turn anymore, and you leave it alone. It will not slide back and forth. Given the little bit of play between the larger size of the hole in the carrying handle versus the centering pin along the mounting bracket here, you do get a little bit of, you can compensate for a little bit of the um, forward-backwards play. And that's basically how it looks. Okay, the appearance on this other side here. So taking a quick look at a copy, and this again made in you-know-where. This is a model 4x20 rifle scope and a copy of the Colt 4x20 version. So these are out there. They've been copied by numerous manufacturers over the decades. So if you want that retro look to fit on a carry handle, you might want one of these. The quality of the glass varies, and the image, well, it's a fixed 4 power, and it is a narrow tube, so you got to take that into account. But at the time, this was the hotness, and people used it effectively. This has been another show and tell video. Feel free to check out other show and tell videos on the channel. We also do unboxing videos, as well as a selection of book review, media reviews, and feel free to like and subscribe. And thanks for watching. See you next time.